Hello, Aries, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of October 5th through the 11th. And during that time, we do have a full moon that comes up on the 7th. So a lot of times that energy can happen really a couple of days before. So you might feel, a little heightened emotions, being a little bit overwhelmed or anxious. Some people get snappy and irritable, or they have changes in their sleeping patterns. I know that happens for me. And some people can really use that energy in a positive way. So if that's you, keep that in mind. We do have the waning gibbous that comes in right, of course, after that, which is a time of self-reflection and rebirth. So after that high energy, it's time to kind of just really reflect, look around, make positive changes, and kind of start deciding on what it is that you want to start working on for the next cycle. Get rid of bad habits and negative thinking. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this particular reading is step out of your comfort zone. All right, let's see what the Aries Collective has going on this week. As I'm shuffling, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you get out into nature. So, with the full moon, that might be a good night to do that. If you want to do that in the evening or nighttime, that's a fun energy to get into. But just, take a walk in the woods. It doesn't have to be, excuse me, at night. Take a walk or find a park that has a beautiful view and just take the time to really stop and connect with the miracle of nature. You might want to study a tree or a plant longer than you might, or the sky. I mean, I have a little app on my phone and I watch, the different constellations and watch things that are going on in the sky. If you get a nice clear night, listen to water if you're around some sort of body of water, but just find a way to really close your eyes, connect, and enjoy nature. So that is my fun weekly reminder for you. All right, Aries, let's get into this reading October 5th through the 11th. Step out of your comfort zone. And your present energy right now is the Queen of Swords. And I don't see the Queen of Swords having any issue with her comfort zone. She definitely says what's on her mind and does it in a very logical manner, but very concise. I always like to say with that handout, if I'm sure you've seen people do that when they're talking to you and they're trying to explain to you exactly what is going down, right? And so that's kind of your energy, is that you're just really in your logical mind and speaking very, very, very clearly this week. Your current situation is the Four of Cups. So you're also a little dissatisfied about something. So this speaking clearly may be kind of a scolding kind of thing. You're not happy about something that's gone down. And this could be, for some of you, this might be something at work where you're speaking to subordinates like that. Be gentle if you can. Let me grab a drink here. Getting a little frog in my throat during this reading, which tells me you do need to speak up. So, even if it's something you're dissatisfied about and if you're feeling a little timid about that, and a little insecure about it, you do need to speak up. I mean, it's definitely coming through. It's literally coming through in my throat that's saying, speak up about this, clear your throat, get your thoughts straight, and really speak about it. But it is something that you're not happy about. So there you go. At the root of this situation, okay, well, maybe this is why with the Seven of Swords here. So, has there been some sort of theft or hidden agenda or something going on around you that has maybe come to light? And now you're having to step out of your comfort zone. You're not happy about it, and you need to say something about it. So, and I was about to say, I think before my throat went crazy there, this could be a work situation where you find out, there's been some sort of theft or hidden agenda at work. This could be in a relationship. This could be something going on in your family with a friend group. I mean, this tarot is a template, so it can template over different things for different areas. So the energy is kind of the same, but the situation could change, of course, with and it could be in any different part of your life. So, oh, let's move that camera down so you guys can see that. Okay. What is just behind you in your recent past is that it looks like you've come out of kind of a success area where you've had a little modicum of success. Nothing, this isn't like a huge thing. It's kind of like a little win, a little congratulatory where you're, recognized by people around you. as doing a good job. So of course, you're feeling all happy and all of a sudden this thing comes in, right? That you're going to have to deal with. I know my table's set up correctly here. There we go. Make some space for the next card. But yeah, so you're coming out of kind of a positive thing, and of course now you're hit with this information that comes into you, and it's negative. You're not happy about it. Excuse me. And again, you are going to speak up. What is on your mind as you do this is the Ace of Swords. So this is kind of a breakthrough. This is an aha moment, and it could just be a breakthrough. Like I said, that this information comes through, that there's been some sort of hidden agenda or theft or something in your midst that you're not happy about. It's come to your attention. That's that Ace of Swords. Just it gets in your mind, and you're not happy about it, but you're going to have no trouble speaking up and saying the things that need to be said. What is just ahead of you this week? Okay, yeah, you're done. Whoever, and I don't see this as you. I see this as the person that is going to be the recipient of this information for you. You're done with this person. I don't blame you if there's been some sort of dishonesty, that sort of thing. Of course I don't blame you, but you are done. You're done with them. You're done, and I understand that feeling. When you're done, you are done. So that's okay. No apologies about that. In your advice position is the Justice card. Yeah, this is when truth comes out. Sometimes when truth comes out, people show you who they are, and there's just nothing you can do about it, and you are done. You're just done with it, with the entire situation. So I don't blame you there. What is beyond your control this week is the Three of Wands. So, of course, you're done. You're going to let this person know how unhappy you are about this thing that's been going on. Again, you're not going to mince words. You're going to be very clear, very concise, and you're done with this person. And it's the advice card is about truth. It's go ahead and follow the truth. The truth is what it is. Um, and there's nothing you can do about it. But again, you're done with this person. Beyond your control here with the Three of Wands is that you're kind of looking for a new venture. This is, maybe travel. This is kind of new thoughts towards the future, what's ahead of you. And of course, if this is a job situation, you may be looking for that. That person may be looking for that too, or maybe to fill that position if you're in that sort of position to do that. If it's a family member, you may be done and thinking about, well, what does that mean? If I'm done with you, then what does that mean for my future? In the way of new things that arise. Of course, you have to think about all those things. Friendship, same thing. Any sort of relationship, but you're definitely done with somebody, and you're going to have to think about how that looks for your future. You may not completely know that yet, but you're definitely considering that, and that's beyond your control this week. What is your secret desire or what you're trying to avoid? Page of Pentacles. So, this is a new path in the financial realm. So, for some of you, this may be a new job. This may be where, you may have found out that it was that your boss has been lying or deceiving or whatever, and this information comes to light, and you're done. You're out of there. If it's the position where you're in more of the upper hand position, and you find out, you may be looking for a new employee, that now you're having to do interviews and find a person to fill this position. So look around you. That's kind of a new venture there. For other different areas, again, like I said, if it's a family or friendship situation, again, speak up. I really do have a frog in my throat. I think for some of you, it's going to be very difficult to speak up this week. You've got to do it. You've got to call it out. I think I'm just really feeling for some of you, my throat is just like, you have to call it out. You have to speak up. Okay. But anyway, a new path, and this could be in the material realm. So if this is maybe a roommate has done something to you, you may have to be looking for a new apartment, so there's something that's kind of a new path for you in in the in your future. And also, this is the area of this card is this is either your secret desire or what you're trying to avoid. And this is always like your big question of the week. Is it my secret desire to get that new job, to hire that new person, to look for a new apartment, to find a new roommate, to change my living situation, whatever that thing, or am I trying to avoid it? And again, my throat got choked up. I think you guys, that'll be your big question of the week, but you do need to ask yourself that question. Am I trying to avoid that, or is that what really does need to happen here? In your outcome position, is the Emperor. This is the card. I love this, and I love that that's where this card lands for you, and I love that it's this card. This is someone who's a leader, who's in control, who has a very clear vision of the future and what needs to happen. Someone who is going to systematically get. I just call this like there's someone who just gets it done. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to step out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to open up your mouth, say the thing that's uncomfortable. But in doing that, you're going to learn that A, you can do that, and B, you can be a leader and you can take life by the horns, let's say, and move it in the direction that you want to move it in. And you're not going to put up with whatever this thing that has you dissatisfied, which I do feel like is some sort of, theft, hidden agenda, that sort of thing. You can stand up to that, and that's very, very empowering. I remember a time in my life, especially when you're young, and so I don't and sometimes people learn this lesson, sometimes it takes them a long time in life, so age doesn't really have anything to do with it. But I know I was pretty young when I had to stand up to authority because of it was a theft deception situation. And it was very hard for me because it was just a male authority figure that was a leader that I had to stand up to, but I was in the right. And I just remember how, oh, I was shaking in my boots to have to stand up to this person, but I did. And actually that person appreciated me more because I did stand up to him and said no, right? So, and this was like in a work situation. But so you need to kind of take on that role. And if this is a learning situation for you, believe me, you are definitely shaking in your shoes as you're doing it or before thinking about it, but you have to do it because it teaches you that you can do that, that in the right moment, when it comes down to right and wrong, you can definitely stand up for right, which we're all here to learn how to do. So do that. Don't let that, I was getting that frog in my throat. Let that emperor energy come in. And if you need to look up that card to see, exactly what that is, again, it's clear vision. It's like the builder. Someone who sticks to the rules and regulations, someone who's very established. It's just really, the qualities of a leader. But you may want to look up the emperor card and just keep that in mind that you need to adopt those sorts of qualities to really face the situation and to step out of your comfort zone. So keep that in mind as you're moving through your week. Let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. And I have to take another drink, so you have to speak up. There was a lot of my throat has been clear all day. It's just funny sometimes when when I'm reading cards and doing a particular reading, when I can feel that timidness about speaking up, that of course you just want to be like, well, I don't want to upset the apple cart and I go with the flow. No, this is something that you know is wrong and you need to stand up to it. And the person you need to stand up to is probably not the easy person to do that to. Just take a big deep breath and do it. I have faith in you. All right. Soul Oracle deck says to Aries this week, keep your commitments. And if that commitment is just to truth and honesty, then you have to keep that commitment. You have to do that. You do. All right. Let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care. So, before as you're shaking in your shoes, having to do, and I've been there. So I know exactly what this is, and I do feel for you, but you can do it. The feeling you feel after the feeling of empowerment is worth it. All right. Self-wisdom, self-care wisdom card says friend is the card that comes out for you. Be as good a friend to yourself as you are to others. Wow. For some of you, this could be about a friendship thing. And if someone does you wrong, you do have to stand up. You have to stand up for yourself. We also didn't look. Let's see what's hidden from you. I forgot to do what is hidden from you at the bottom of the deck. Oh, look, a little celebration. So maybe that's going to happen for you next week. I think you might be a little bit distracted this week for Three of Cups partying, but think about next week when you're out with your friends and maybe having a little cocktail or whatever and telling this story and how much fun it's going to be when you say, and then I stood up to him and I said blah 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 blah, or I stood up to her and said blah blah blah. it's going to feel really great. It's going to feel great. You're going to feel like, you get to take that power back, and it, again, it's very empowering to stand up for what's right. So, Aries, I thank you so much for being here. I do hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in your week. If you're comfortable sharing, of course, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what it is that you had to come up and face, this week, what kind of person and what situation. I'm always curious to know that, because I do see that tarot is a template, and for different areas, it'll be in different situations of their life. So, but anyway, drop me a message if you're comfortable sharing. I do post readings every week, so come back next week and we'll see if this energy continues or if there's a completely new situation here for you. Also, if you like my reading style, of course, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel, and most importantly, it'll help you find me next week. So, thanks again, Aries, and have a great week. Bye bye.